Start without delay with today's episode of Photosynthesis Part 2. Now, what are the learning outcomes or objectives of today's lesson? So, at the end of today's lesson, we will be knowing about the opening and closing of the stomata. So, this is an old thing. We have already studied this in the plant physiology part where we have studied in the turgor pressure, the structure of the stomata. There only we have studied opening and closing of the stomata. Now, today we will be concentrating on two more theories, that is the sugar concentration theory and the potassium ion concentration theory. Now, we are going to study today about the adaptation of leaves for photosynthesis, the main mechanism of photosynthesis, which consists of two parts, that is the light reaction, which is also called the Hill's reaction or the photochemical reaction, and the dark reaction, which is the Kelvin cycle and which is a light independent reaction, and it is called the biosynthetic phase. So, till this we are going to study today in today's episode. Now, if you want to know more about factors affecting photosynthesis and several experiments on photosynthesis, you have to subscribe to my channel and please stay tuned, stay updated with all the videos which I am posting as per your ICSE curriculum. And students of CBSE, you can also attend my classes, attend my lessons, because the photosynthesis topic is the same whether it is ICSE or CBSE. So, the main portion or the main subject matter will be the same. So please subscribe to my channel to know more on whatever lessons I am teaching as per the curriculum of biology in 10th ICSE board. So stay tuned and stay updated. So let us start with today's topic. Now, starting with the structure of stomata, we will move on to the two theories on which this opening and the closing of the stomata depends. So what is stomata? Stomata, the singular form of stomata is stoma. So we should first know that the singular of stomata is stoma, and these are actually minute pores which are present on either side or either surfaces of the leaf, and they are present on actually both the surfaces of leaf to facilitate the exchange of gases between the leaf and the atmosphere. Now the stoma, this is consisting of a aperture or a pore which is called a stomatal pore or stomatal aperture. Now this is the stomatal aperture and it is surrounded by two guard cells. These are two guard cells whose inner wall, you can see in the diagram, is thicker than the outside wall. So inner wall of these guard cells are thicker than the outside walls, and these guard cells are kidney shaped. So these guard cells are kidney shaped. Now here you can see inside there are chloroplasts. The outer wall is thin, the inner wall is thick. As labeled, you just see these are the epidermal cell. So this structure of stomata is very important. With this label diagram, please do practice the structure of stomata. Now this is the diagram when the guard cells are open or the stomatal aperture is open, stomatal pore is open, and this is the diagram when the stomata or the stomatal aperture is closed, that is the stomata is in a flaccid condition. So why this opening and closing is happening, that only we will discuss in the next slide. Now let us see first what are the theories for the opening and closing of the stomata. So first we are concentrating on the potassium concentration theory. So what is that? The potassium ion theory is depending on, it's a new theory, it's a very new theory, potassium ion concentration theory. So according to this theory, the opening and closing of the stomata is always depending on the potassium ion. So what is the role of this potassium ion? Now in daytime we can say that the guard cells are helping in the production of ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So what is the full form of ATP? The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So these full forms please try to learn. So this is adenosine triphosphate. So in higher classes also 11th and 12th you will be these all full forms you should know. So this is adenosine triphosphate which helps in the pumping of the potassium ions to the adjacent cells into the guard cells. Okay, so is it clear? Now what happens then? Now during daytime the photosynthesis is taking place, we all know, and the chloroplasts in the guard cells, what they are doing, they are helping in the production of ATP. So adenosine triphosphate is being produced by the help of the chloroplasts in the guard cells. So in the guard cells, we have seen in the previous slide, chloroplasts are there which are helping in the production of ATP. Now what is this ATP doing? This ATP is actually pumping the potassium ions. So potassium ions to the adjacent cells into the guard cells. So these adjacent cell potassium ions is pumped into the guard cells, and as a result of the potassium ions, the cells are becoming hypertonic. What is hypertonic? That is, more water from the adjacent cells is moving into the guard cells. So what is the meaning of hypertonic? That is, the endosmosis will happen because of the potassium ions are entering this guard cells. For the ATP production, the water also from the adjacent cells will flow into these guard cells. Is it clear to everyone? Now, as they are flowing or moving into the guard cells, they are making the guard cells turgid. So now the guard cells are turgid and making the stoma open. So this is what I have taught you earlier in turgidity and flaccidity. So I am putting the link above. Please go through that lesson also, where you will get a clear idea of this thing. That is turgor pressure. Now, what is happening at night when the stomata, why the stomata is closing? This is the phenomena of morning. So this is becoming hypertonic, and the water from the outside cells, from the mesophyll cells, is coming into the guard cells, and thus this guard cells is they are becoming turgid and the stoma is opening. Now at night, what is happening? The reverse of this process is happening. Is it clear? So what is happening? The ATP formation is stopping there. So at night the ATP formation stops. So at night the ATP formation stops. So then what happens when the ATP formation is stopping? No photosynthesis is taking place. Now the potassium ions, what are they doing? They are moving out of guard cells. So they move out of guard cells. So leading the cells to become hypotonic. So hypotonic means the water moves out of guard cells. So water is moving out of guard cells, and what is happening here? Which is leading the cells to become flaccid. So these cells are now becoming flaccid. So these cells are now becoming flaccid and leading to stomatal closure. So is it clear now? The reverse of the day process is happening here. The cells are becoming hypotonic, so the water is moving out from the guard cells, and the stomatal aperture is closing. So this is what is happening in the potassium ion theory. For the potassium ion, in the morning the water was gushing in as the guard cells were becoming hypertonic, and at night it became hypotonic and the water is moving out. So the water is moving out from these cells. Okay, is it clear to everyone? Now let us move on to the next one. Now here comes the second theory, or the sugar concentrations theory. So what happens in this theory? Now during daytime, what is happening? The cell sap concentration becomes higher. So cell sap concentration, when it increases or it becomes higher, why? Due to the accumulation of sugar. So from where the sugar is coming? Due to photosynthesis, sugar is produced. So this leads to endosmosis. It leads to endosmosis, that is water inside the guard cells. It moves water from the outside inside the guard to move inside the guard cells. So endosmosis is happening. So water is withdrawn inside the guard cells from the neighboring cells, and this makes the guard cells become turgid due to the presence of turgor pressure. So turgor pressure is developing due to endosmosis of water and due to presence of higher cell sap concentration due to the accumulation of sugar. Okay, but at night what happens? There is no photosynthesis. Again the reverse thing is happening. So this carbon dioxide, it gets accumulated in the guard cell. So carbon dioxide is not being used, as no photosynthesis is happening at night. So no photosynthesis at night, right? So no photosynthesis here. So the guard cells, there the carbon dioxide is getting accumulated and it is combining with the water of the guard cells to form carbonic acid. So this is formed inside the guard cells, and with what is the main thing what is happening in the guard cells? The pH is 5.0. Now it promotes the conversion of sugar to starch, and which is insoluble in water. So now this carbonic acid is promoting the conversion of sugar to starch, which is insoluble in water. Now as a result, what is happening? Here exosmosis is happening. Now here endosmosis was happening in the daytime. Endosmosis means entry of water from the outside cells, and exosmosis means that water is moving out of the guard cells and they are becoming flaccid and they are losing the turgidity. Okay, is it clear? So please refer to the exosmosis and endosmosis part, whichever I have taught in plant physiology. If you are not going through that, you will not understand these processes properly there. I have taught you in each and every topic, whatever was there, very nicely it has been taught. So please refer to that link I am giving above. Read that exosmosis and endosmosis. Now it comes to the how this stomatal pores closes. So that's the slit-like aperture. This aperture is closing. So in the daytime, as the endosmosis was happening from the outside, water was coming cells. So it was becoming it was becoming turgid and the stomatal aperture was opening. So open stomatal aperture. And at night, the reverse thing happened. Exosmosis happened and it became flaccid and lost turgidity. So the stomatal pore closes, and thus we can say that this is the on these theories only the opening and the closing of the stomata depends. So now we will move on to the next one. So what are the adaptations of the leaves for photosynthesis? So the main adaptations for leaves for photosynthesis, so they are having a large surface area. So leaves have a large surface area for maximum absorption of light. So more the surface area, more will be the absorption of light, and more the light absorption, more will be the rate of photosynthesis. So it depends totally directly proportional on the surface area, and which will be helping in the absorption of more sunlight. Now, large number of stomata, same thing, the leaves have large number of stomata to allow the rapid exchange of oxygen and CO2. So more the surface area, more the number of stomata, and more will be the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide gases. Now next comes the arrangement of leaves. Now how the leaves are arranged? Leaves are always arranged at right angles to the light source so that they can trap the maximum amount of light. So they are always arranged at right angles to the light source so that they can trap the maximum light. This is how they are being arranged. So this is the arrangement of leaves. Now what all about the concentration of the chloroplast? So the chloroplasts are always more concentrated on the upper epidermis. So they are always more concentrated on the upper epidermis. Is it clear? So these upper epidermis part, they are having more concentration of chloroplasts. So more chloroplasts are there on the upper epidermis. Is it clear? To obtain the maximum light energy. And what about this last one, extensive vein system? This vein system is actually developed for the rapid transport of water to and from the mesophyll cell. So it is actually for the rapid transport of water to and from mesophyll cells. Okay. So is it clear now? Now we have already studied about the adaptation of leaves also. Now we are moving on to the mechanism of photosynthesis. Important. Now, as we have already discussed in the previous section that mesophyll tissue in a leaf in the previous class also, if you remember, and if you have not yet gone through that part, please go through it. The mesophyll tissue in a leaf is the principal site of photosynthesis. So mesophyll tissue in the leaf is the main site of photosynthesis. Okay, you can I think you can remember mesophyll cell is the main site of photosynthesis. Now water is transported to the palisade cells and by cell to cell osmosis to the xylem tissues, and as sunlight is absorbed by the chlorophyll in the mesophyll cells. Now by using this light from the sun, carbon dioxide and water, they are combining together in the chloroplast in presence of chlorophyll with the help of number of enzymes to yield sugar or glucose. So this all mechanism is happening. So I have written that chemical reaction or chemical equation which we have studied in the last class. So this is what is happening. The overall chemical equation, 3 molecules of carbon dioxide combined with 12 molecules of water, and in the presence of light energy and chlorophyll which is present in the chloroplast of the mesophyll cells, they are producing this glucose, and with that 12 molecules of water and 6 molecules of oxygen is produced as a byproduct, and we can say that the water which is liberated at the end of the reaction is again reformed. So this is the overall chemical reaction of this photosynthesis process. Now this photosynthesis has been divided into two different phases. So what are the two different main phases? The first one is the light dependent reaction or the Hill's reaction, which is very important. And second one is the dark reaction or the Kelvin cycle or the light independent reaction. It is the biosynthetic phase. So let us move on to these reactions in detail. Now first comes the light dependent reaction or the Hill's reaction. So what is happening here? Let us see. So this reaction is also called the Hill's reaction. This is also called the Hill's reaction. So what is happening here? It is a photochemical phase of the photosynthesis. So photochemical phase means it is the light dependent reaction which is occurring in the thylakoids. Now when the light particles or the light energy in the form of photons is falling on the leaf surface, what is happening? Excitation of chlorophyll is happening. So excitation of chlorophyll means that the light energy in the form of photons, they are activating the electrons to be emitted. So and which travels to the electron transport chain in the chloroplast. So the photosynthetic pigments, they are absorbing the light energy in the form of photons. What is photon? It is the smallest unit of light energy. So what is photon? It is the smallest unit of light energy. And which after being exposed to light energy, the chlorophyll is getting activated and it starts emitting electrons, and which travels to the electron transport chain in the chloroplast. So after that, what reactions are happening? So then formation of ATP from adenosine diphosphate or ADP is happening. That is, this process is called photophosphorylation. That we will read in details in the next part. And the splitting of water, that is photolysis, is happening. So these two main reactions are happening after the activation or excitation of the chlorophyll molecules in the leaves. So what is happening? Let us see. So let us see what is happening in this light dependent reaction. So we have told previously that in step 1 is mediated by the electron acceptors. Now we can see the adenosine triphosphate here, okay, which is synthesized from ADP. So this is ADP. This ADP and this inorganic phosphate, this combined. So if we write the chemical reaction here, we will see that ADP plus inorganic phosphate, we are writing it like that, plus the energy which is being taken by the sunlight, they form ATP. So this is the chemical reaction which is happening here. And this ADP plus Pi plus energy is forming ATP. So this is adenosine diphosphate and this is adenosine triphosphate. So this one is adenosine diphosphate, and this one is adenosine triphosphate. So these two products, these are new to us, and this process is called photophosphorylation. So what is this process called? This is called photophosphorylation. So this process is called photophosphorylation. Now in the next step, there is splitting of water. What is happening here? So the water, what is entering, the splitting of water is called photolysis. So this water is entering. So photo means light and lysis means breakdown. So this term is called photolysis or photolysis, because this photo comes from the term light and lysis means breakdown. Is it clear? So lysis means breakdown. It means breakdown. So it is taking place in the light phase where water is with the presence of highly reactive hydrogen ions and oxygen. What is the chemical process happening here? If two molecules of water is here with the energy of photons, what is happening? This photons is helping in the breakdown to 4 molecules of hydrogen. So these it is being broken down into 4 hydrogen ions and oxygen. So this 2 molecules of water, after absorption of the photons or the light energy from the sun, they are broken down into 4 hydrogen ions plus oxygen, plus we can say that the free electron ion is also given. Okay, so this is the chemical reaction of photolysis. Now let us move on to the next important part, that is products of photolysis. So what are the products of photolysis? So what are the products of photolysis? So let us see what are the products of photolysis. Now NADP is reduced to NADPH. So after photolysis, what is happening? NADP is reduced to NADPH. So how this process is happening? So it is releasing H plus ion. So NADP, they are combining with 2 electrons and they are forming 2 hydrogen ions, which is forming NADPH. Okay, so this process fully, it's the products of photolysis. So this is happening, and we can say that this hydrogen ion, which is helping to reduce the NADP molecule, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. So what is NADP? It is nicotinamide. So just learn these terms: nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. It is being reduced into form of NADP. So that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Okay, so this is the molecular, this is the chemical reaction, and this is the we can say that this is the full form of NADP to NADPH, and the oxygen is given out as a molecular oxygen. So the oxygen is given up in the form of molecular oxygen. So this is the process which is happening. The oxygen is given out in the form of molecular oxygen. The water, that is the which was entering which was being absorbed by the cells during the light reaction, it is being broken down. So in the previous one we have told that 4 hydrogen ions with oxygen and 4 electrons, they are oxygen is released and NADPH is converted to NADP. Okay, and this 2 oxygen is released to the atmosphere. So this is what is happening in the photolysis process. Now we will move on to the dark reaction. Now this is dark reaction or Kelvin cycle. So this is a bit complex diagram which I have written here, but just we will know how the reaction is happening. So the dark reaction, it is occurring simultaneously and with the light reaction, and the time gap between the two is less than 1/1000th of a second. So the time gap is less than 1/1000th of a second. Okay, and in dark reaction they are light, they are not dependent on the light, they are light independent reaction. So what is happening here? We can say that quickly we will tell that in NADPH molecules and ATP molecules, both produced during light reactions are utilized to form sugar. Okay, so they are both utilized to form sugar and carbon dioxide. So these two which were used in light reaction, they are utilized to form the sugar and carbon dioxide, and the reduction of carbon dioxide again in the stroma of the chloroplast by the means of series of reactions are happening. So series of reactions are happening for the reduction of this carbon dioxide, and fixation and reduction of carbon dioxide is happening in this process. Okay, so this is a process of carbon dioxide fixation. So carbon dioxide is catalyzed. The fixation of carbon dioxide, how it is happening? It is happening by the help of Rubisco. So this enzyme is helping to reduce or fix the carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is this sequence of reactions you will study in Kelvin cycle in details in higher classes. In 11th you will be studying this, but now you don't have this in detail. So just remember, carbon dioxide is being fixed. So fixation of carbon dioxide is done with the presence of enzyme Rubisco. So the full form of Rubisco is this, you should learn. The full form of Rubisco is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate carboxylase. So this is what is happening here, and this sequence of reactions, so what is happening? Carbon dioxide, it is entering step 1, it is forming 12,3-phosphoglycerate. So phosphoglycerate is also phosphoglyceric acid. Then the next step, by the absorption of 12 ATP and the release of 12 ADP, step 2, 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate or 1,3 by BPGA is formed. Again by the absorption of NADPH and the release of 2 NADP, 3-glyceryl phosphate are formed. Then they are transported to make glucose. So then the product is ribulose 5-phosphate. So this is a biochemical reaction. Generally in the biochemistry part you will be studying this. But just this quick flow diagram you try to understand for your benefit. You just remember that NADPH and ATP, they are used to form this sugar and carbon dioxide. And this full form is ribulose 1,5-bisphosphate carboxylase. So this glucose which is formed here, it is either immediately used by the cells or stored as starch. So this is either immediately used by the cells or it is stored as a starch in the cells. So it can be used up by the cells also. So this is a simple flow chart where I have tried to discuss what is happening. So let us move on to the last part of this photosynthesis. So what happens to the end products of photosynthesis? Now glucose is either immediately used up by the cells or it is stored in the form of starch. The water is produced, it may be utilized or reutilized for the continuance of the photosynthesis. Now most of the oxygen produced diffuses out of the cell to the atmosphere and through the stomata in the leaves. Now the oxygen is used by all of us, all other living organisms we are using oxygen, including respiration. So these are mainly the end products of photosynthesis, and how they are being used up. This is in gist I have told you. So this is all about the mechanism of photosynthesis, the light and the dark reaction, the whatever we have studied today. Just go through it again. It's a bit vast and difficult topic. So we have tried our best to divide into different parts and just learn it properly. So learn it, try to recall the chemical reactions once you are done with the lesson. Try to write the difficult words, that ribulose bisphosphate, NADPH, ATP, ADP, phosphoglycerate, and all these are the new terms which you have been introduced today. So learn them, and please go through my videos. If you are having any queries, any doubts, write in my comment box, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that whatever I am posting tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you can get the updates then and there, and you can continue with your lessons in a smooth and systematic manner. So next we are coming with the factors affecting photosynthesis in the next class. Okay, thank you.